Hello everyone, welcome to the weekly video again. So as usual, let's start off with the US market. So let's look at the recap last week. So last week we talked about the Dow breaking out from this resistance at 35068. And we did mention that I did mention that this resistance may be retested again. And indeed, we got retested. This region got retested and then the Dow managed to rebound strongly. And I also mentioned that the Dow is targeting this resistance at 35627, and it has broken up successfully on Friday with a closing slightly higher than that. So we are looking at the uptrend to be looking strong, and there might be a chance for the Dow to continue higher. And especially next week, some key US enterprise is going to announce results like Boeing and Caterpillar, and of course, this Apple. So these are the key drivers for Dow Jones next week. And then, of course, on top of that, we have Facebook and Amazon coming out with results as well, and that is going to affect Nasdaq and S&P 500. So let's take a look at S&P 500. Last week, we also mentioned that S&P 500 is targeting this 4546. And what we want to see is that this resistance get broken successfully, and we have a target at a significant higher level at 4813. That is something that we dream of, but we don't want to go into that so soon. We just want to go step by step. Now, if we take a look at the chart for S&P 500, it has gone up for a consecutive day. So if you were to recap one of the videos that I recorded on the 3rd of October, I mentioned that September is a low month. October, we start to see some rebound, and then we expect it to hit all-time high. And then this is what we have seen right now. And if the corporate announcement result is going to be strong, I think we would potentially see more upside. But of course, in between, we may have some pullback, up and downs. And if next week, the S&P 500 will be able to close above 4560 and hit about 4600, then we may expect some pullback towards 4546 to retest it as support, garner more strength, and then break out, and then eventually works out to this target level at 4813. Okay, Nasdaq, we start to see some pullback after the last week rally above its resistance, and this pullback has brought a lot of tech counters back to support level. So I'm going to highlight a few later on, but ultimately we still have our 15695 resistance as a target. But because of the pullback, we also have a minor resistance at 15500. So next week we're going to take a look at this level. And STI, I mentioned last week that we are going to have a challenging Monday, and indeed, on STI this particular day, if you were to look at day, we actually had some pullback, but we managed to fight back to close higher. And coupled with the strong US market, we managed to push ourselves back up to resistance at 32096, as I mentioned last week, which I also expect STI to do so. Now, STI formed a new minor resistance 3213, and next week we may have a chance to retest that level and then even break up from there and go to this resistance at 3237. So let's see how STI works out, because going forward, if we were to study the candle step by steps, we have more clue. So for STI, we had a very good closing. For the Dow, we had some good closing. S&P 500 a little bit disappointing. Of course, Nasdaq is low, but then of course that is not conclusive as yet to see how it would really move up generally on a mid to long term scale. So if the uptrend bullishness is going to continue, we are likely to see it moving it into this bullish momentum is going to continue into November. Now, let's move to the individual stocks. We are going to start with Singapore stocks. As the bank move, right? Last week I mentioned this is a very strong resistance, which is around 30.56, and DBS broke out and retest this resistance at 31.41, which I also mentioned that if we break out strongly, we are likely to test it. And last week was a fantastic week for DBS as it moved up strongly in a swift stroke to test the resistance, and right now it is hanging at the resistance and seems like potentially is going to break out because of the type of consolidation that we are looking at. We had a bearish candle over here, and then we had somewhat bearish candle on the second day, but the good thing is it never break the low. So a good closing on Friday actually start to show that DBS still have a bullish strength in it. So next week, if we were to break out, DBS do have a potential chance to continue higher, and the projected target may be as high as $32. So let's see how it goes. 32.13 is the projected target. So OCBC, we see moving upward direction in continue after the breakout, and we have 12.27 as the immediate target. So let's see how OCBC move. So last week we were talking about OCBC having this candle, which is going to be challenging, but OCBC show true strength as it refused to go down at end the Monday as a white candle and managed to push slightly higher. Now, these few candles actually show some struggles over there, but Friday we actually see some optimism with a good closing to sort of like negate all this seller. So if if we want to completely negate all this seller, OCBC has to cross above 1204 and close above that. Then we are targeting 1227 resistance, and it could happen next week. Just to add, the banks is going to have announced result in first week of November, which is going to be next week. So DBS will be first, then followed by OCBC and UOB on the same day. Okay, now UOB still remaining at its all-time high, and Friday's closing was strong. So we are looking at it to break out from this 26.93 resistance, and the target could be, or maybe, going towards this level, approximately around 27.72. Okay, so if it's bullish breakout with strong volume, then it has a higher chance to move there. So let's see how it goes. Now, I mentioned last week we potentially see some pullback on the airliners because it has zoom up so fast. Then we are looking at it testing support, and guess what? It did happen. SIA now is back to its key support level or major support level, interesting level with a bullish harami candle pattern. So this is where we are looking at a white candle confirmation may help to push SIA back towards 558 resistance. So let's see, is there going to be any rebound next week? SIA Engineering, similar, back to its previous recent support, and we are looking at a potential rebound. Hopefully, then the resistance to watch is going to be around 225 this time around, because this is a resistance that was formed previously, and now it couldn't break it, so it pulled back to this support level, and hopefully we can see some upside next week. Sets interesting. The second reversal pattern came in. After this doji, we have a hammer. So next week, a white candle confirmation above this hammer should be able to help this counter push to 441. So next week is an interesting week for the airliners, and then we're going to watch out for that. These are trading signals, and hopefully it works. But then if it doesn't have any confirmation candles coming in and push below its low, like for example sets, if it push below 423, it's likely to be more bearish, and then it may continue to go down lower. So we're going to watch closely on that. Then let's talk about the tech Franken. The counter, as I mentioned, these candles are not death penalties, and then we see the counters manage to fight back from the low, and then the counter trying to attempt to move higher, but there are some consolidations going on right now due to the the movement in Nasdaq. So there are some days that Nasdaq are down, so it also pushed the our counter slightly lower. But of course, Franken still have a chance to move up with the immediate resistance right now at 234, and once it breaks out from there, then there might be more upside. Then AEM, it didn't pull back, it didn't have a black candle confirmation, rather it stays at the $4 range. And once it breaks above 416, then we may see more upward movement towards 422, then followed by 432. Next, IFAS, I mentioned that it's going to test its resistance last week. If you were to recall on the video, if you don't recall, you can go back and see. I mentioned that it's about going to about 10 or slightly higher to 1009 around there. So basically, we see IFAS moving towards that direction last week. But Friday, they seems to have some selling with increased volume. So this group of seller may have some concern about the result, so that's why they make the first move to sell off IFAS. But unfortunately, I may want to say that they might be wrong, okay, or the market has already priced in for the IFAS result, because IFAS has announced a very strong set of results where the growth is very, very strong. So if the market sees this as an opportunity to grab IFAS, IFAS may rebound strongly from this low, and then going back to 1009 resistance, or even break up from there during the intraday. Now, if the market is very bullish about the prospect of IFAS, we are looking at 1009 to be compromised immediately. So keep a lookout on IFAS on Monday, tomorrow. Next, Heartland, I just want to add, last week, the crypto, after hitting highs, doesn't do well, and then of course so is Heartland. So it actually broke its formation. Right now it's below its uptrend line, and then we got to relook at this counter again, because this signals, this bullish formation has been negated. So going forward there will be new one, so we're going to look at how it goes. Okay, then the next is that we are going to move into the US counter. So as I mentioned earlier, Apple, Amazon, and then Caterpillar and Boeing is going to announce results. So I'm interested in a few counters, so I just want to cover that. So let's start off with Amazon. We can see Amazon pull back strongly on Friday, and then it retests its support over here at 3326. And this could be a chance next week if it can form some bullish signals over here, hover at this support level, and then rebound back to this resistance at 3464, this newly formed minor resistance. Then after breaking up from there, would potentially help the counter push to 3550 if the result is good. And of course, not to forget, Black Friday is on its way, and then of course Christmas following, and these are some of the catalysts that Amazon may be looking at. Then Microsoft is at its all-time high level. The projected level is 331. If the result is good, we may see some more upward movement going forward. But of course, if you look at Microsoft chart, technically, I don't see a potentially good entry point as of now. It's just that, you know, looking at this counter, continue its bullishness and move up higher. And then Square, I mentioned last week that it may break out, and it did break out, but then it came back to retest its support at 251. So this may be an opportunity for us to look at. The resistance is 265. If it's going to move up, 265 to 268, these are the resistance level. Then we are going to look at Apple result next week. Apple did break out, but Friday a bit disappointing. Overall, we do see the trends moving up start to form up. So we are looking at 147 to be retested as support if we can't move up immediately. And then 157 will be its immediate resistance if the result that is going to be announced is going to be good. I think there's a good chance for it to test 157. Then we are going to move into AMD, almost testing its resistance at 122. And then, of course, there's no buying opportunity. It's just to follow up on this counter. Nvidia also, I mentioned, is going to test 230 resistance, and it did. Then after that, succumbs to selling to close lower. But it also tells us that this is quite a tough resistance, as it got tested 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th time last Friday. So if you have taken profit on Nvidia, which I know one of them has taken, congratulations. So let's keep up the good work to look for more fantastic counters to trade. Then we are looking at the banks. JP Morgan So you see, these are the selling that scare off all the investors, and then they push up to break up from resistance. And now we do have a chance to move up to 181 as the market in November, they are going to focus more and more towards the tapering, all the economic decisions that's going to come up from the Fed, etc., etc. So the banks definitely has to be one of the key driver to that. And then of course some of the good banks like leading bank, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, all-time high, I think. Yeah, you can see all-time high, still going strong. Goldman shares is moving towards its major resistance as it rebounded strongly on Friday. So we have a minor resistance at 415, then we have 418 as the next major resistance to look out for. But the weakest bank I can see is Citibank, and as you can see from the chart over here, Citibank did not manage to continue move up like the other bank. It pulled back, but although there's some some good closing on Friday, but of course they still need to test resistance at 21.25, 73, sorry, 73.25 and 73.77. Okay, next, finally, I'm going to cover this counter called Palantir. Palantir is forming a, is having a double bottom formations, and we are looking forward for a breakout. And this breakout is crucial as it attempts to break out once but failed to do so because it didn't close higher. So next is that it must close above 25.20 in order to return back its bullishness. But we have some good chance. Hopefully this double bottom remains intact and then break out over here and move towards its major resistance over here. So these are counters I'm going to share this week. Hopefully it's going to be helpful to you. And then going forward, if you have some counters that you would like to talk about, you can put in the comment, and then we shall review that as well. So as much as we can. So have a good week ahead. Take care, stay safe, and then invest safe.